Dice, please. Hello. What's up? Going on, everybody? What's up, Mayu? What's up, Jan? What's up, American? FPS Gamer? What's up, Zeusy Vens? July soon, boom. Yeah, for sure, for sure. do 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 do. Mhm. Mhm. Hopefully the reveal trailer will be this month. I heard something about EA earnings call late July. I'll might make a video about it tonight if it's worth making videos on, but you'll have to see. Insane thunderstorm is about to happen for me. We've been getting hit by these little tiny pop-up storms that last maybe 10 minutes, but it's like a violent 10 minutes. Trees are fucking getting branches snapped off and blown over, and it's crazy. Mouse? I'm using the Pulsar X2H ES. From clips I've seen, people are able to use PM as primary and pump as secondary. What is PM? What? 128 breakthrough is back? Unfortunately, it looks like, yeah. Unfortunately. One of the worst, most disgusting modes imaginable. Never played Battlefield before? If you've never played Battlefield before, this is not the game you want to start out with. This is not the game you want to start out with. Like, at all. Hell no. $95% off right now. They should be paying you to play the game. It doesn't matter how much this game is off on any market anywhere. They should literally, oh, you decide to play the game, they should add you onto a fucking payroll. Literally. Yeah, dude, go, if you want to play Battlefield, go like, I don't know, go look at, I mean, maybe depending on where you live, you could find like Battlefield 4 servers. If you live in like Europe, you'll find any Battlefield you want to play. Like if you want to play, I'd try to start with BF4. That's my recommendation. One down. Inshallah, they will release something this month. You're right, man. And fucking inshallah. Inshallah, DICE will release the trailer. Tired of 5v5 FPS game? Yeah, that's true. Did you see the guy supposedly invited to LA to play BF6? Yeah, I saw that. I wouldn't be surprised. That's not surprising.
Grenade thrown. Right on the map. 90 meters from
That is probably true. But, you know, whether or not it matters is another thing.
Marking enemy tank. East. Tank spotted.
You know, sometimes you just gotta disregard danger and just fucking.
Spotted a hostile. One down.
Just go. You know, you don't fucking got it. You don't got it. You're not fucking
Up we go.
gamer enough to deal with me.
Reloading. Hostile soldier.
Well, I don't know why that guy's right next to me, but. Please stop.
Stay back. Got one. I need a reload.
The AN94 for a map like this is really good.
Northeast. Spotted multiple tanks.
Why are you up here? How is he up here? Dude, that's why this game is shit. We've said it a million times, but like, it's always the how and where and why of this game. How are you up there? When did you even get there? How is this possible? You know, like, what the fuck?
Target danger. East.
Oh, and okay, that's absolutely awesome. Oh, God. Absolute fucking cancer. Can you play 128 Breakthrough one last time? Fuck no. Horrible dog shit. It's horrible. Why would I ever play it?
I'm on it.
Why would I ever?
Marking a threat. Northeast. Tango identified.
128 players is terrible. It will never be good. Ever. It is a terrible idea. It should never be executed again. Ever.
One down. Enemy soldiers there. Northeast.
120 Conquest on some maps is really fun. Wrong.
Hooks in.
I'm sorry, wrong. It's just wrong. Like it.
Marker set. Move your feet.
When I heard they got rid of 128 players in the next game, I knew it was already guaranteed to be better. Honestly.
Spotted an open.
That right there is when I knew. Or at least, you know, partially back in that regard. Because 128 was just such a fucking gimmick. They weren't ready to implement it. They'll never be able to implement it. It's just, it sacrifices map design, game flow. It's just too...
Hostile located.
Bigger is not always better, man. And it is what it is.
Heading out. Located hostile tank. 60 meters from my hostile mark. That storm is moving in. hostile. I'm reloading. Here I go.
There's a tugs there that just got.
Let's go. Let's go.
Have you been spotted by your daily random tugs?
Marking danger. 150 meters away.
Break through chaos sucks. Absolutely.
Tango mark.
Let's shove 128 people in a crowded linear game mode.
Marking a hostile.
No, I actually don't think so. Sir, absolutely so fucking annoying. Holy shit. Oh, this game.
Throwing grenade. Enemy soldier marked. Danger on the map. Grapple ready.
Right, no, it's just it's just not a real game. It's just not a real game. You know, like a guy spawns on a dead guy. It's not a real game. Nothing happens that's actually legitimate in the gameplay. A person spawns on a dead person. Like, no, that's not accurate. That doesn't happen, and it shouldn't have happened, and I didn't die to it because it shouldn't have happened. Simple. Just, this game is retarded. It really is. It doesn't make any sense. Stop spawning people on people that are not alive. I'm done with it. I'm not dying to that.
Ready for orders.
Absolutely unplayable. What's going on in this server?
Tango down.
Okay, there's game over. There it is. We won. We won. You could bring one thing from Battlefield 2042 to the next Battlefield, what would it be?
Looks like the wait's over.
Nothing. Think EA will ever try to do franchise leapfrogging to have a yearly shooter again in the future? No, I don't know, dude. I have no idea. I have no insight on what EA is gonna do. Like, I have no, absolutely no fucking insight on that, bro.
Watch out at the marker. 130 meters away.
So lucky, motherfucker.
Oh my god! Oh my fucking god! Just oh my... Oh my god! Oh my god, nothing works! You can't even jump out of a helicopter in this game! You can't even jump out of a helicopter in this game! Nothing fucking works! Nothing works! Oh my fucking god, fire every single fucking person that worked on this game. Oh my god.
Hostile located, around 70 meters from my position.
Literally, you can't do anything. Nothing works. I fucking eject out of a helicopter and there's a fucking problem. Like, what?
Tango, identify! East! Hostile mark. Hostile vehicle ID. Enemy vehicle spotted.
Ooh.
Enemy fire team sighted.
Fire fucking everyone. Please fire them. What?
Hostile spotted! West! Marking a threat! Enemy tank marked! Located hostile tank, 250 meters. Threat marked. Marking threat. Let's get going. Marking the hostile, around 60 meters from my position. Hostile located. That's a hostile.
How is this guy alive?
Marking the threat. Hostile sighted, northeast. Need to reload. Tango mark, northeast. Hostile on the map. Marking threat. Enemy soldier marked. Hostile on the map. 150 meters. Right on the map.
Yeah. Hmm.
Threat sighted. Around 70 meters from my position. Right on the map. Tango down. Woohoo, you are doing well. Med supplies on my marker. Multiple threats. East. Tango spotted. Marking danger.
What the f...
Enemy drone in sight! Southeast! Go! Tango!
Fire everybody. Fire the person that designed the map. Fire the person that had the concept for the map. Fire the people that I just can't. Like, what the fuck?
Looks like the wait's over.
What did we do? Like, what did we do? You ever ask that question? What the fuck did we do to deserve this shit, you know? What did we do to deserve discarded? What do you think of Fortnite? I don't think of Fortnite.
Toe to the line, people.
We didn't buy enough they made discarded because we didn't buy enough weapon skins in BF5. You know, that actually tracks. True. Certified true.
Lone Tango, 110 meters. Got a fucking ways to go. Move it. Tango on my mark.
Hey guys, what are we doing up here, you know?
Target down. Hostile located. 50 meters away from my position.
Roach meeting. Oh my god, wait, whoa. That was my first life and I'm second place. Whoa. Guys, we're in the last sector. Guys, what are we doing? We're in the last sector. Why am I... Guys, what are we... What?
Here I go. Enemy drone, 60 meters from my position.
I mean, my team is aiding and abetting the enemy. That's what they're doing. Aiding and abetting the enemy.
Tango down.
Actively helping the enemy players.
Grenade outgoing. Grapple ready.
Move or do anything. Oh my god. How are you losing the points? How are we lose?
Oh my god. Battlefield players are fucking geriatric, actually. Holy shit. What are we doing, boys?
Regroup at this position.
Yeah, I see you camping in a corner with a shotgun. Nobody cares.
I've located supplies.
Okay, just got shot from crazy ass angle.
Target down. Someone pick me up!
Okay.
Reloading, cover me!
No one has anything to say? No one on my team has anything to say, you sorry fucks? Yeah, I wouldn't have anything else to say too if I was 1-9. Money too cool, 85. Unbelievable.
Toe to the line, people.
Money too cool, 85. 1-9. What I say, it is what it is. That's crazy. I need to ditch this Twitch TV name and just play like, I just need to name my account like Money Spender 10,000 or something. Like My Money Long 69 or some stupid shit like that. That's really what I need to do for the next game. Death Killer 1974. Dude. Death Killer Shadowhawk 76. Some bullshit like that. Grim Reaper 1840. Money Farmer and 5 million. XX Night Shadow. Vibrating Lemur 27. Elite Sniper X_XXX. Big Money Stacks 401k. Baranox had some of the best fucking alt account names, dude. His fucking alt account names were so good. He won the Gundam Evolution Grand Finals in the 20k tournament with us on an account called Offbeat Alligator. Offbeat Alligator. Just destroying people in the grand finals. Oh, fuck. Is input delay better in BF5? Oh. Dude, nothing's wrong with BF5's. BF5's input's fine. That game feels really fucking perfect compared to this game. Now, the recoil's random, but it feels significantly better than this game.
Ready for orders.
They don't know about the offbeat alligator lore. What were some other Battlefield? I'm trying to remember some of Baranox's other alt account I played as McKay Enjoyer for a while, actually. You guys remember that? That was early on in this game. McKay Enjoyer. I don't know. I don't think I'm doing that. I don't.
Ready for orders.
Focus Marvel Rivals alt name. Yeah, they're pretty insane. They're pretty elite alt names. Bovine Tomcat 857. Dude, this is the shit that I can't even think of. You know? Like, I'm not creative enough. Moist Bread 2002. Pookie Penetrator. Like, I can't top these. I can't. These are just... like... wow. Young Fresh 92, dude.
Tango down.
95 damage. And he bot walks in his spawn in the middle of the open on no HP and fucking dies. Oh, we not living this one. You little fucking... Okay, so if no one lists this helicopter, I guess I'll have to list the helicopter. The cab brawler has to die, or else we will lose. We're gonna lose anyway. I mean, listen, we're gonna fucking lose anyway. This shit is just done already. We're losing the point. No one's playing the game on my team. We're on defense. And this is the life of defense. This is what it is. This is the life of a player that plays defense. Load in the game, lose the game. If I don't kill every single last person on this point, we lose. And because my money long, yeah, I do it. You know, it's no big bang for your boy, but you know, like that's just what has to happen. If I die on one of these pushes, we lose the game, you know? And I'm blowing vehicles up. And I'm blowing vehicles up.
Big fucking tank near me.
Hey guys, do you want to? Somebody help! Shoot it! It's 1 HP. Kill it. Kill it. It's about to die. Shoot it. Blow it up. Teammates. Teammates. Here we go.
Danger here. 40 meters from my position. Enemy drone marked. Target is down.
Neon. How we doing, Neon? Whoa there, bud.
I'm reloading! Hostile helo marked! Northwest!
Oof, that was actually close.
Hostile helo sighted!
Behind us, back right. Yeah, yeah. Guys, there's an Apache attack helicopter killing our whole team.
Marking hostile! Hostiles down!
I killed Scooby Snack, guys. I know that was a big deal for you guys. That guy was a fucking killer, I'm sure. All right. So there's 850 people in front of A. They're all 1 HP. Do we think we can kill this guy? Do we think we got him, guys? Oh my god, I'm just so ever so slightly.
Enemy helo on my mark!
You motherfucker. This is the worst feeling TV missile ever in the history of gaming. It's the least responsive, most disgusting feeling projectile weapon I've ever used. By far.
Disregard that! Hostile ranger out here! Up close!
Dude, it's just funny because, like, BF4 TV missiles were difficult because, like, they made them to be difficult. But 2042 TV missiles are difficult because they feel horrible.
You're not done yet!
Motherfucker, dude. Alright. Link to vehicle sensitivity? Yeah, I know. It's disgusting. Which Ender's sweating hard right now? Two and 6. 2 and 6. I know what the fuck you're doing, okay? I've been around the block.
One sec! I'm reloading!
Dude, this guy is so lucky.
Detonator rant!
That thing's not fucking dead?
We're doing this! Hostile kill! Spotted! Moving! Reloading now! Good kill! My target's down!
Tell me, don't touch grass. I said 2 and 9. I spawned the AA because I knew it would cheese them, dude. LOL! LOL! Just got cheesed by the AA spawn. LOL! LOL, you bots, you're killed! You did not predict the cheese AA spawn. And I am dead, but it's fine. My purpose is fucking saved. My purpose has been expended.
Grenade out!
I'm just gonna keep typing this guy's KD in the chat.
Regroup on
I'm
my
just gonna
marker.
keep typing this guy's KD. Dude.
Away we go.
You are the worst. LOL! The idiot! My superior movement prevents you from killing me.
Tango spotted.
I don't think I can move pretty much at all here, but maybe this corner's safe.
Target down.
How does it feel to know Butterfly does more in 2-week lifespan than you will do in your entire life? 2 and 11. 2 and 11. 2 and 11. 2 and 11. Oh, dude, it's funny as hell.
Throwing grenade. Got one.
You're saying that like it matters. Three and 12.
Line. Rescue squad.
Sector's lost. god. It's just funny. Just fucking funny, dude. He's mad because I'm typing his fucking score. And he's fucking coping, dude. Oh, no.
Hit on target!
Oh, yeah, oh boy, ooh. Lucky duck.
Hostile kilo! 250 meters! You need to hold the objective! Defend the objective! Explosive is set! One down!
There he is! There he is!
Hostile kilo! Moving! Enemy spotted!
And there's you fucking idiot. You knew he was gonna do it. Just, oh. Nice. Does McKay do fucking leg day, man? Like, it just fucking little bitch. It's just,
Hostile kilo! 250
That's a tail hit.
right on target!
That's what that is. Hey, man, chill. Just relax, all right? Just fucking relax.
Count down!
Just chill out. Everything's fine. Come on, man. Come on.
Eyes on the kilo!
Just come on. Just come on, man. Come on. Like, if I had a team, this guy just dies immediately, though. That's the thing. Like, if I have teammates, this guy just doesn't get to do this.
Eyes on the hostile tank! 50 meters from me!
Awesome. Absolutely unplayable cancer. Absolutely unplayable cancer. I mean, just retarded. Battlefield players are retarded, and they're fucking horrible at video games, and none of them should have any opinion on anything ever. They should be completely ignored regarding every single thing they talk about, whether it be about real-life subjects or about Battlefield. Nobody should ever speak to them. Just genuinely a completely worthless, absolutely clueless, lost, pathetic, embarrassing player base that should be constantly made fun of at everyone's nearest convenience. Because how the absolute fuck is a collective of humans that absolutely worthless at a particular goal? You have to think about it. How are 32 people not able to kill this fucking helicopter when I am constantly harassing it and damaging it with LIS missiles, bringing it to 1 HP, right? Where's the AA gun? Where's the base AA? Where's anything happening ever? Where? Why are you guys so fucking worthless? It is absolutely insane. 31 people on my team for what? For what? What are they doing? 31 people on my team for what? Why? They're not doing anything. They're just sitting there fucking dying repeatedly, doing nothing. It's hilarious. Like, I don't... It's just fucking unbelievable. They're an embarrassing piece of shit player base. I cannot get over like how actually bad they are at video games. They're so fucking useless. I hit a helicopter for 80 damage. What? How many times? 3, 4 times? Hitting miraculous fucking shots. And these people are absolutely fucking worthless. It is insane. It's just exhausting. It really is. Fucking useless dog shit. But it's okay because we don't have to play that game anymore because we're going to record the next podcast right now. Our guest is Gravity. He's basically like the Battlefield map genius aficionado. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. We're going to talk about why 2042's maps suck, what they need to do to make sure Battlefield 6's maps are actually good, whether or not Battlefield can ever have like a competitive sort of thing going on, our favorite maps of all time, and we'll probably throw in a couple other things in there too. So he's gonna join me in a couple minutes here, and we're gonna fucking talk about this shit. It's gonna be fun. Gravity the tank goat, yeah, he's also a very prolific tanker, yeah. BF4 hovercraft aficionado. Hovercraft tank, rather. Hovercraft tank. God, I mean, I'm not done, actually, though. The Battlefield player base should be permanently ignored. Absolutely nothing they say should ever be taken seriously or into any sort of account ever. They should be permanently ignored. Their opinions simply do not matter. They don't. Their opinions don't matter. Any sort of feedback they're giving on Battlefield 6, throw it in the fucking bin. You should only listen to good players that actually play the game. You should only listen to competent people, essentially. That's it. And it's not a hot take, and it's also not toxic. Because it's like, okay, you got a problem, right? What's the problem, ladies and gentlemen? The Battlefield franchise is dying. It's on the operating table. It's fucking flatlined, right? Who's gonna fix that problem? The doctor? Or some fucking Steven off the street? No, we're gonna listen to the fucking doctor. And you know who the doctor is? Me. And other good players. We're the fucking doctors, okay? You wanna know how to fix the game? You don't listen to Rodney Twiddler 62 on Reddit that wants the fucking movement to be nerfed. Cause he's senile and he can't hit anything. And even if they nerfed the movement, he would still have a 0.8. So why are we listening to him? Like his feedback matters. Like his opinion is worth anything.
We shouldn't be. We shouldn't be listening to them. I don't care that is the majority of people. Guess what? The majority of people that vote in elections are retarded. You know, like hey, if it were up to me, their fucking votes wouldn't count either, you know? So, I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of like everybody's opinion matters. No, it doesn't actually. No, actually it doesn't. No, not really. But the rant is over. We're going to have a calm conversation with Gravity, who actually knows what he's talking about. Thank God. Ready when you are, sir.
Testing. Can you hear me okay?
Hello, man.
Hello.
Hello. All right, what's up? Okay, let me set some stuff up here, then we're good to go. Boom, and then... Oh, no.
Boom. July boom, right?
We can talk about this before we actually... I'll do the intro for the podcast and everything. What are they doing?
You know, who knows? This is probably the latest announcement for a game that they've ever done, but in my mind, who cares? Give them time to cook. You just don't want to... they could take as long as they want, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in your boat. The wait for me, though, is just so, like... And for everyone else, it's just absolutely brutal.
We want it, for sure, right?
Oh,
like,
we want it bad.
We need it. But we can't, like, have a BF5 or 2042 situation where, like, we wanted this game so badly, we're screaming for it to launch, and then it just disappoints you again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to do the YouTube intro first. Be like...
Sure.
Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Battlefield podcast. Today's guest is none other than the BF4 hover tank aficionado, map critique aficionado, Gravity himself. Hello, Gravity. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Anders. How are you?
I'm going to give you a little brief introduction, maybe a little more than I did there, and then we'll dive in.
Sure. So for those of you who don't know me or my streams or my YouTube channel, my name is Gravity. I've been playing Battlefield since BF 1942, so I go way back. I played competitive Battlefield from 1942 to BF4. So 1942, Vietnam 2, 3, 2142, 4, BC2. I'm an old man. And then I started casting competitive Battlefield 2 in like 2020, 2021. So I've done competitive Battlefield casting for 8v8s and 5v5s for about 5 years now as well, on and off. And then I've got a YouTube channel where I discuss maps.
Really good videos, by the way. Probably the only place you can find Battlefield map breakdowns that are actually worth watching on YouTube. So if you want to go check those out, the Gravity's links and everything will be in the description of this when it goes up on YouTube, which maybe tomorrow. So the reason why we're on this podcast with Mr. Gravity today, we're going to talk about a bunch of things. We're going to talk about why Battlefield 2042's maps sucked, what they can do in BF6 rather, to remedy this situation in multiple ways. We'll probably touch on things, you know, like 128 players and verticality and all that sort of stuff. Our favorite Battlefield maps of all time. And we'll probably touch on some like Battlefield competitive viability here, because he did mention he cast a bunch of stuff. And, you know, we're both competitive Battlefield players. I've won tournaments, you know, I've competed. I've actually casted some tournaments as well. So we're both experienced in that regard. We'll start it off with, and I just played. I mean, I just fucking rage quit this piece of shit map. Why did Battlefield 2042's maps suck, Gravity? If you want to take it away with the first point here.
Oh boy. There's a long list of things, but I think you can chalk it up to 3 big ones. And the first is probably poor planning on their part. They just did not, you know, when they make a map, the 128. First off, 128 comes into play big time here.
I feel like we have
think
to
you'll
discuss 128 almost first because it's
Yeah.
core to it.
So the interesting thing is with 128 they decided that they were going to try to make a bunch of really big maps, but in terms of like big map scale, they actually were not bigger in context to like some older Battlefield maps. Like Kaleidoscope they claimed was enormous, and it's actually smaller than like Bandar Desert and Golmud, and like the actual playable areas were actually pretty small. Hourglass is pretty large, but the problem is you can't just increase a map scale and say, let's just chuck 128 players onto it and see it and play it in the classic Battlefield style.
Mhm.
Because if you have one interesting location and the other 4 or 5 or 7 are terrible, then everyone's going to gravitate towards one particular spot, and then you've just got a meat grinder cluster frack over there, and you just ignore the rest of the map. Which is why I think you find that if you play the 64-player Conquest maps or the scales, they work so much better. Now, of course, the specialists also break a lot of the map design in 2042, and that's another big problem.
Oh yeah.
You can have a map like Manifest where it's like, oh, we'll have this cool dock map, but also we've got a specialist in there with a grappling hook that completely breaks all level design philosophy that you want. Right.
Which is why I play him.
Oh, I mean, that and the increased ADS movement speed is huge.
100%. McKay is so powerful because he breaks the rules of the game while also being the best 1v1 gunfighter in the entire game. Yes. So that combination is absolutely lethal.
And you can make an argument for like Sundance as well. The same thing of like being able to get across the map and have that advantage. So the specialists do break a lot of the map design, which is also why if you play Portal like on the BF3 maps, or the non-specialist, soldiers, the map design actually works a little better, just inherently, which is nice. So yeah, I think poor planning when you take into consideration a lot of the specialists that is part of it. Maybe a lack of imagination is a lot of affects the map design as well. They kind of just took these cool concepts of a location and they were like, well, how do we make a map out of that? I don't know. Just make one cool location and the rest are just tall skyscrapers or tall buildings or containers, right? There was not a lot of assets, not a lot of map detail. They have a tiny little objectives that don't have anything around it, and that has its own catastrophic consequences for spawn points.
Oh my god.
Battlefield 2042 spawn points are notoriously
unbelievably bad.
Yeah. So it's like if you don't have enough detail and cover and terrain deviation, then you've got massive problems for spawn camping. And I think a lot of this also boils down to maybe a time factor. I think 2042, they just didn't have enough time to cook the maps fast enough. Interestingly, I will say that if you look towards like the post-launch maps, especially like Spearhead, Redacted, maybe even Haven a little bit, they did seem to improve their map quality a little bit going forward, especially post-launch.
I think Haven's one of the worst maps in the game.
Haven is like dead middle of the road. I don't think it's anything spectacular, but I think if you compare it to like, some of the launch maps, it's still not that bad. Spearhead, Spearhead. Yeah, Spearhead and
Haven for me is one of the. My chat knows this. Whenever I play Haven, I'm totally dreading it. I know exactly.
Yeah, I did not rate it highly either.
Yeah, I think you're hitting the nail on the head there 100%. In particular, when it comes to 128 players, in my opinion, I don't know if DICE could get it right if they were given, 6 years to make it a 128 player Battlefield game. I just don't think it works as well as 64 players. I think it kind of overcomplicates things. It's new territory, and we don't have another game to fail or to waste with trying to make 128 players work. I think they absolutely made the correct decision with going away from 128 players in Battlefield 6. And you mentioned the spawn points, and how it really just emphasizes spawn camping. I spawn camped someone like 10 minutes ago. Like, a helicopter was flying above my base. I spawned an AA gun. He was right above me, and I insta-killed him. And then Baronox and I were playing Conquest Ascension. We spawn the helicopter. We hover over their spawn, and we know the flag spawns. There's nothing they can really do. And you can do that with infantry as well. And the problem with that is a lot of the time the flag spawns are just so out in the middle of nowhere that it's like,
Yeah.
what are these spawns? Because not only are you out in the middle of nowhere, you are 60, 70, 80 meters away from sometimes decent cover. And the people on the flag, if they know the spawns, are in cover and they can see you spawn. So it's just
it's kind of like playing a refractor engine Battlefield game sometimes, where there's just nothing in between these vast distances.
Yeah.
I think the other one I said Haven. Reclaimed is the other one I was going to give a better example of, like a better post-launch map. But it's just like, even still, you get some of those spawn points are just absolutely awful, and I think there's a lot that was not taken account into for that game. I don't think 128 on the 128 player issue. Interestingly, I don't think that it is impossible to design a good Battlefield map for it. It's not that I don't think they could do it. I don't think the technology is there, and I don't think they're.
They don't have the tech, Gravity.
Well, think of it like, I mean, the server tick rate thing in itself is just a giant hurdle. You can't just say, okay, well, we'll have 128 players and not have anything more 60 hertz or more. Like 2042, it's 45 standard, but you get 60 players in a little room together, and suddenly the tick rate drops down to 20. Right? It's like you're playing BF3 again.
Which is where the hit registration problems come into play whenever you're playing, especially maps like Redacted. Sometimes you can really tell, especially if you're on maybe a higher ping server. I can tell the difference immediately, even if I'm on West Coast versus East Coast. Even that little increase of like 40 ping is like, oh my god, it's like, am I playing in China? What the fuck is going on?
Yeah, you can't tell. But my favorite part about it is, like, then they'll give you like modes like 128 player breakthrough or Resh XL, and you'll see people go, "Oh, I love that mode."
Oh my god!
But I can't. Why can't I hit anything? And like, guys, you just it's because you have 100 people crammed around a tiny sector.
You
like,
just cut the tick rate in half.
Yeah. So I mean, those are things that, moving away from 128, they're at least not burdened by those features.
Yeah. One thing I want to touch on with 2042's map design in particular is I feel like even if McKay or any of these verticality breaking characters weren't in the game, I feel like there were still potentially too many areas of verticality that you could get up to. I feel like great Battlefield maps, they have very limited predictable areas of verticality, and that includes the number of floors that are accessible on buildings. Most notably, if you look at, let's say, for instance, the outside portion of Operation Metro. The A flag, where you have those apartment complexes, you can access 3 floors, right? 3 floors, but there are a limited amount of windows, and the walls are destructible. So it's a predictable area that you can actually handle. In 2042, especially Haven, especially crowded urban maps like their, what's the BC2 map remake? I'm blanking on it. The grayed out buildings all made of concrete.
Arica Harbor?
Arica Harbor, yeah. Haven, Arica Harbor. Those dense urban areas, just so many areas of verticality, so many windows, so many unpredictable angles. On top of the specialists ruining the map flow, it just becomes a bunch of slop, for lack of a better word, and becomes extremely unpredictable, even for the most aware players in the game.
This is what I mean by planning. I mean,
yeah.
you look at Haven, and it's essentially cookie cutter buildings. There's nothing unique, nothing.
It's copy paste Arica Harbor BC2 buildings.
Right. And it's not like there was even a major incentive or effort to like break the sight lines between the buildings or anything, or put something unique between their street signs, anything. Because now you're right, like you said, you're just in a fishbowl constantly of other buildings. So you were just it's a mess of an experience.
Yeah. So what can they do in BF6 to actually remedy these problems, which we've just covered? I would say, I'm not sure if you want to actually talk about what we've seen leak-wise, but I think from what I've seen personally, they're just not going too over the top with some of what I've seen so far. Like, just seems like they're planning better. Like you said, they're not just copy pasting buildings. They are not just having wide open flat areas. It seems like there's undulations and rocks and places where you can rotate towards and around, and this area is covered from there. And I'm just excited to see what they do with the rest of the maps, because it would be honestly, it would be an amazing comeback if after 2042, they give us some of the best maps we've had since probably Battlefield 1. That would impress me.
So, with regard to the next game and at least some of the leaked footage, I haven't seen all. It's like crazy. You just see it all the
So
time on
many.
Reddit. I try to avoid quite a bit of it. It does look like they are switching gears and like maybe just heavily correcting from 2042. You see a lot more density, a lot more cover, a lot more map detail, which I'm all just thrilled to see, because I mean
The
that's been a
size
problem
of the
for
map
a while.
seems to be more dialed in too. A lot of
Yes.
the time for me, when I'm just, even when there's like overhead map views, I'm like, there isn't some random 700-meter stretch of nothingness like you would see
Right.
in El Alamein or something.
It looks like it looks like there's a scale, like they're really trying to get that map scale correct, so you're not walking 500 meters from flag to flag. They're trying to get people in the action maybe faster.
Mhm.
So that's all good news. With regard to better map detail, hopefully there's better spawn logic. Hopefully there's better players or objects around flags, so you're not getting beamed once you spawn. I would hope that these maps would be designed with multiple modes in mind from the start, so that you don't have a situation where certain modes feel shoehorned. And that has been a problem for a lot of past Battlefield games.
Oh yeah, especially
Particularly Breakthrough and
so
Rush.
noticeable in
Yeah.
Battlefield 2042, because a lot of the maps, if you look at them from an overhead view, they are specifically designed almost not even for conquest. You can tell a lot of them are designed more for the linear modes because of just how
Yeah.
long they are. Spearhead is a perfect example. Spearhead is one of the better Battlefield 2042 maps. That map is so linear if you look at the
Yeah.
overhead view of it.
Yeah, and that's another one of those examples of like post-launch map design of they wanted to avoid those bigger open maps, and they wanted to kind of make it more like a classic map and give people that linear style. And don't get me wrong, it's better. It's not a meat Spearhead's not a meat grinder by any means. But you definitely feel that whole Breakthrough Rush lineality to it.
Yeah, for sure.
So what else? The other thing I would say is I would hope that they're addressing long-term like legacy map issues, like poor map boundaries.
Oh my god.
Too flat of terrain, being able to shoot in and out of deployments. Like those are biggies. Like, design your deployments a little bit better so that you don't have one way in and out.
There's more of a natural barrier maybe between being able to spawn peek into deployment and not being able to. Because with 2042, I mean, and in Battlefield in general, I mean, the players in the chat will know this. Peeking the spawn for the farm is tradition. All right, it's tradition, but they can make it harder. Because a lot of the time in 2042,
they could give a lot of more pathways out. That's my
Yeah.
biggest concern. Like, there's nothing fun about being spawn trapped, but you should at least allow people to get out of it as easily as you can.
of course. What are your thoughts on bringing back some legacy maps? Because this has been a topic I've seen some people bring up on a bunch of different social media platforms. Call of Duty is obviously infamous at this point for having 19 versions of Shipment, 19 versions of Nuketown, but Battlefield, up until 2042, didn't really take that bring classic maps back approach nearly as hard as COD did. And I would be interested to see them bring back a limited amount of maybe some fan favorite maps like Grand Bazaar, for instance, just as an example. But I'm kind of hardline on the opinion that they can't just start bringing back a ton of old maps. They have to keep it very limited. I still want like 90% of the maps in BF6 or in any Battlefield game to be new, brand new, like we just made this. I don't want it to turn into COD in that regard, where it just seems so blatantly lazy.
The good news with that is I don't think any Battlefield game, I mean, every Battlefield game that almost everyone has had legacy maps or remastered maps to them. But they never make up a majority of the map design. Usually it's like an expansion pack or something that has 3 or 4 to it, and even BF1 and 5 had fewer than that. If memory serves, I don't think BF1 had any. Unless somebody can correct me off the top of my head.
I can't remember any legacy map that was in Battlefield 1.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that
the
was
chat wants to
completely
correct
all
us.
original. I'm just looking here real quick. Yep, that was
Yeah.
all original.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's good. I completely agree with you here. My thought process towards remastering old maps is, one, they should. I'm all for it, but they should avoid remastering vanilla maps and launch maps, because those have been played the most and been done to death. And they should avoid remastering maps that have already been remastered.
Okay.
Because why would you want to, if you've played BF3 and BF4 for like 12 years, 15 years,
like, yeah.
why would you want to play Caspian Border again?
Oh
right?
my God.
It's or Gulf of Oman again, or Wake Island again, right? Like, I understand that there was a nostalgia pull to certain maps, but there are also very popular maps, especially post-launch maps, that are well deserved to get remasters and get a kind of a new audience, a fresh audience. Because also, people buy a Battlefield game and then content doesn't release for 6 months, so you get a player drop off, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that post-launch content doesn't get seen by a good chunk of the audience. So if you can have a really awesome map post-launch, and half your audience isn't going to see it. So those are the ones I think you should target to remaster down the road.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. One of my mods said, if it don't have Wake Island in BF6, I don't want it. I will comment on a couple maps that I never want to see again. You said a couple of them already. I never want to see Wake Island again. I never want to see Caspian Border again. I'm sorry. These are maps that obviously been brought back so many times. People play them. People love them, blah, blah, blah. I have always thought in every iteration of Wake Island that I've ever played, same with Caspian Border, it's just, I don't know, they're just not that great, in my opinion. And maybe, I played vehicles on them, I still have the same opinion. Caspian Border needs to stop being made.
There's a reason for that with Wake Island, though. Did you ever play 1942?
No.
Okay,
that was before my time.
To be fair, that is the best and really the only great iteration of Wake Island. And the reason for that is the ships were movable. So you had the movable carrier and a movable destroyer. So the map became dynamic. It wasn't static. It was not, you always knew where the attackers were going to come from. They can come from every direction. You can move the carrier outside the airfield and shoot the flash.
See, that changes the entire dynamic of the entire map.
Right. And they've never done that again. And it's just a missed opportunity every time. So that's, yeah.
What?
So
why would they not do that?
So when they announced that they were going to remake the map in BF5, I was like, okay, this is actually going to happen this time, right? And it didn't, and I was pissed. Yeah.
So DICE is just incompetent once again.
I wouldn't call it incompetence. I would say that perhaps, again, timescales, cost, a lack of water dynamics, kind of maybe key features into that. BF5 is always a weird one because, there's always a lack of water combat in BF5, but whereas they just did in BF1. I don't understand how the technology works there, but apparently that was a limitation. That had to have been.
Yeah, I don't know. BF5 is a strange game in general because it's the only Battlefield game that was ever canceled mid-service. Yeah, maybe we'll talk about BF5 if you want to come on the podcast another time, and because I would love to. I haven't talked about that game in a while in detail. BF5 for me represents like one of the biggest misses ever because we're not going to have an opportunity to have another World War II Battlefield game for who knows how long, 20 years, 10 years, 20 years. It's not going to happen anytime soon. It maybe never again. So
I would be happy to come on and talk just about BF5 because I'm right there in the same boat as you.
Yeah, it's such a missed opportunity.
Right, it's like as somebody who's played the original 1942. The moment they announced it was going to be a World War II game, I was like, okay, this is it. You have the perfect era for a Battlefield game. You have just an insane amount of guns and locations and vehicles and naval combat and factions. Like, this is the gold mine.
Unlimited.
And it was just a completely, misfire on terms of the launch quality and the post-launch content. And
the direction they took was absolutely head-scratching.
It was, and yeah, we could spend hours talking about that game
Of
because
course.
just some of the map design and the vehicle design in particular is just confounding.
Well, I guess we'll segue into what are your favorite Battlefield maps of all time?
Oh, I have a lot. I've been around
Okay.
a while. Telemarket from BF3 is my favorite infantry map of all time.
Oof.
I love Telemarket.
That's a good one.
I think that blows so many other infantry maps out of the water. Operation Flaming Dart from Battlefield Vietnam. You just had to be there.
I wasn't there. I'm
That
gonna have to watch the
an
video.
Incredible aircraft map. Quang Tree from Vietnam, Museum from Hardline, Train Dodge from Hardline. Just one of the best sandbox maps I've ever played. Like it's just every map is just insanity.
God, Hardline. Not to go on a tangent, but I guess I am. Hardline. I was making the Battlefield Top Plays video for Sunday last night, and I've been getting Hardline clips sent in. What the fuck is wrong with the Battlefield community for hating on that game as much as they did? That game, I would play the shit out of that game right now.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it looks so amazing.
Yeah, that game has some of the best sandbox play and just crazy out there, incredible plays, movement, vehicles, gunplay, out of any other game in the series. It's just absolutely solid. That's just a mystery for why that didn't take off. I mean, it had its reasons. Poor launch window, the setting of the game, whatever. But as far as core gameplay, just perfection. Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned dive a little deeper into Telemarket, because that is also one of my favorite Battlefield infantry maps of all time. That map just had such an awesome flow.
Yes.
Just an amazing infantry flow.
So Telemarket is not anything special. It is a 5-flag diamond-shaped map. So you have one flag in the center and 4 around it.
Much like Devastation from BF5 for people that don't maybe understand what he's talking about layout-wise.
Yes. In fact, yeah, very much similar to that. The only weakness that the map has is that at the time they launched it as Conquest Assault, which is a mistake in my mind. I think it should have been full Conquest, because one team gets capped out and then it's over, and then you go to the next map. But if I ever saw that map again, that would be the only change I'd make. Part of the reason it succeeds is because it's low to the ground. There are no I don't even think there's a 2-story building. Everything is either 1 floor or there's no skyscrapers. It's very down to the ground, so you have streets, alleyways, pathing options are excellent. Every flag is very unique and distinct, and the flow on the map is just so fast paced. It's great.
It's a great combination of complexity, but also predictability. And that all the best maps I've played have that.
It almost feels like I hate to draw a Call of Duty comparison, but it feels like when you're in the moment, in that Zen moment as an infantry player, like when you know what you're doing, you can crush that map. Where people are coming from, how to play it. Yeah, the angles to hold. It is just a phenomenal infantry map.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely one of the best ones. Then Road Rage from Battlefield 2, one of the best vehicle maps. Outbreak from BF4, Propaganda. I think Novell Knights
Outbreak
is my
was that the big mountain map?
Big mountain map. It is the community jungle map. It's the community operations.
Oh yes,
map.
okay, yes, okay.
Yeah, that was a really, really good map.
What's the other? Is it Guilin Peaks?
Yes, that was the one with the big 3 mountains. So that was another good infantry.
That was another good infantry map that I enjoyed. Maybe not like one of the best ever, but I enjoyed that map.
So that one was. It's one of those weird things, because it's probably one of the best infantry maps to BF4, but it's divisive because it's got some weird lag areas that just don't have any cover. So people I don't know where to go. I always get shot at. Well, it's got problems, but it's still one of the better ones, I think.
One of my favorite infantry maps ever is still to this day the team deathmatch layout of No Shark Canals in Battlefield 3. Absolutely goated. Even with its problems, you have the upper area, basically like a 100-meter head glitch. But then the crates, the way they're set up in the middle. I remember just having so much fun playing that map. just for hours, hundreds of hours on my dad's laptop when I first started playing Battlefield. That is where I cut my teeth learning Battlefield infantry, holding angles, how to rotate. That was such a fun map.
I'm actually really glad you brought No Shars up, TDM, because I want to ask you this, and I'm sure your chat can respond to this too.
Yep. So chat, listen up.
So No Shar Canals, everybody loved TDM on No Shar Canals, right? They remake that layout on Dragon Valley in TDM on BF4, and like nobody plays it. Then they remake
I remember
No
they
Shar
did that.
Canals in Portal for 2042, and like nobody plays TDM. So what do you think is the reason for that? Was the BF3 version just fire in a bottle, or do you think that kind of that legacy kind of wore off quick?
Well, Sarni's saying in chat they made it double the size in BF4 for some reason.
They did. They increased it slightly. I think it was not 1-to-1, sure, but
yeah,
it was still mostly the same layout.
I also just think it might have been BF3's thing. Now with Portal, I think it's a different situation. I think I don't want to go off on too big of a tangent here. I think Portal's an absolute catastrophe, and I think the Battlefield community simply had too much at their disposal, and they just didn't make No Shar Canal 24/7 TDM. They made 1000% damage El Alamein, whatever you want to call it, instead, and bought XP farms. And you know,
I very much agree with your takes on Portal for BF 2042.
Oh my god.
So I don't think I have too much to add to that. I think what somebody said was one was a base game app, and the other was DLC. I think that does have a massive effect on that too.
Yes, I was about to say that too. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
it's
I just think it might have been
a TDM servers. Yeah.
It just might have been a BF3 thing. You know, like people played Operation Metro. That was sort of a BF3 thing. It was a BF4 thing too, alongside lockers. But certain games just spawn certain favorite things, and I think there are multiple reasons why it might not have caught on later. But yeah.
But to your point, I don't think that nostalgia is necessarily a reason to remaster a map.
No,
Same thing
I
with
agree.
Like Metro or Locker. I think like having the experience in the past, especially for like a linear meat grinder map, like Metro is it's not my cup of tea, but I understand why people like it. I mean, there's a ton of linear meat grinders in the series, right? I've been playing them since 1942. Berlin was a meat grinder. It's that I think those are easier to replicate on a gameplay and structural wise with creating an entirely new design. So you have something very fresh each time. I don't think you need to remaster Metro so I don't think, and I don't think people that call for it necessarily need it or want it either. I think they just want to relive those glory days.
Yeah, and BF5 proved. I'm not sure what your opinion is on Operation Underground, but Operation Underground, completely new map. Basically Metro, I won't say lockers, but basically Metro. Different style of Metro, obviously completely different map design with the heightened center C flag area with the overlooking things and the railroad running through the whole thing. Serve the same purpose though.
Yes. Underground was an interesting thing. I actually rated that a little bit lower than the BF3 Metro. You know, those underground catacombs and tunnel systems that they had underneath were fantastic, and I thought that was so much better than what Metro did, because Metro didn't have that.
Yeah, Metro didn't have that.
At the same time, it still ended up funneling you back into like 2 or 3 lanes, and then you still had that meat grinder effect, and you just that was so frustrating. Like all you needed was a path outside, and it would have solved the whole problem. Which is again also another reason why I think Redacted might be among the best linear meat grinder maps, because it has that lane. So many lanes to get around, and ones that's very isolated.
I think Redacted is... Ooh. Redacted might be better than... It's better than Metro.
Yes.
And it's better than Operation Underground. Whether or not it's better than Lockers, I don't know.
I mean, this is going to come down to your subjectivity here, for sure. I think that the problem with any linear meat grinder map that scale, you're going to run into hallway choke point bottleneck problems. You're going to run into spawn point problems because there's never enough room for people to spawn. And you're going to run into base deployment choke point, or, like full cap problems. And all of them are going to have it. I think Redacted might do the best at trying to address those so far, though.
Yeah. Redacted is I mean, my stream knows this. Redacted is pretty much definitely my favorite map in 2042, not just because it's a meat grinder, but in my mind it's probably the most playable map in the game, aside from maybe Spearhead. And that is
one of the most texturally detailed too, which is really nice. It's very unique compared to like every other map in the game.
So talking about maps, we can kind of go into this now. This is going to be an interesting topic for maybe some people on my YouTube channel that aren't aware that this is actually a thing. We mentioned it at the beginning, and some of you might have caught it. We mentioned Battlefield Competitive. Gravity mentioned that he's played Battlefield Competitive from the start of the series all the way until Battlefield 4. He's casted Battlefield tournaments. I've won Battlefield tournaments, played in them, casted some BF4 stuff myself. We're going to talk about Battlefield Competitive now, whether or not it can actually work. And I want to address one thing before we get into this. The larger Battlefield community, whenever they hear Battlefield Competitive, they immediately scoff. Immediately. And what I don't like is how hypocritical they are. A lot of people in the Battlefield community are about this, because on one hand, they say Battlefield's a sandbox, you can do whatever you want, but as soon as you mention competitive, they immediately try to shut it down. But they want to do what they want to do, right? So anyone with that opinion, get a fucking grip off the bat, all right? Now we're going to talk about the potential viability or unviability of competitive in a Battlefield game, whether or not it can actually work, what type of mode they would have to make, and I guess you can take it away wherever you want to start it.
Oh boy, so where do you start? Okay, so just on that, how people perceive that topic of competitive Battlefield, I think part of the reason that I think there's two reasons why they might have that opinion. First off is they don't know it exists, or it existed.
Absolutely.
That is the problem. Existed. The competitive Battlefield scene used to be massive. There were hundreds of competitive teams playing in multiple leagues around the world, around the Battlefield 2, 3, 4 era. And then it just kind of took a nosedive because certain features and subsequent titles just weren't there anymore. You started taking away the ability to host private servers, custom servers, took away spectator mode, took away anything like team swap options. Just everything started to go downhill as far as what the capability of what the players could do was. And then there was another issue, like maps became too large. You couldn't have 8 versus 8 on a 32 Conquest small size map because like in the old days you either had mod support and you can mod the maps to be a smaller size, or the refractor engines BF2 and 2142 launched with 16 player size maps, which was awesome. Like that was perfect for competitive modes. Battlefield 2 was probably the first game that DICE actually supported the competitive community. There was a Battlefield 2 World Tournament that they sponsored and like offered a $50,000 grand prize for.
Oh,
my team competed in that and we made it to the playoffs.
I dream of that.
And then let's see. Then not long after that, there was the Championship Gaming Invitational, and that was one of the only times that Battlefield 2 or Battlefield series in general was ever put on a TV channel on an esports like thing, and they had four of the top teams, and that was a $20,000 grand prize. Battlefield esports used to be enormous, and then they kind of just walked away from it.
The tools weren't there anymore, and I can kind of speak to that from a personal perspective. So longtime viewers, and maybe you're in the chat right now, will remember this. BF5 came around, and my team wanted to compete in some Squad Conquest tournaments going on. And Squad Conquest was a smaller, more infantry-based 3-point game mode. And that's perfect for competition when it comes to Battlefield. Now, the tools were not there to set up these tournaments at the time. Squad Conquest, the way I remember it, during when this tournament was scheduled, it was a limited time game mode. We could not set up private servers. So what we had to do was we had to seed a server with all the people that were going to try to play in this tournament or in this scrim. So what we had to do is we had to load all these people in the server, then wait for everyone to get in without a random player joining. And it took a full hour for this person to leave this server so that we could actually start playing the games. And when somebody crashed and another random person loaded in, you can imagine what kind of absolute chaos ensued after that. More waiting, more typing in the chat, can you please leave? We're trying to do this thing. And they would go, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what? I'm trying to play Squad Conquest. So that speaks exactly to what Gravity was saying. As time went on, the tools to actually set up any sort of events, any sort of community, anything, slowly just went away until there was almost nothing left.
And I'm just thinking of, there used to be a lot of, and it's not like the will to compete wasn't there. There were a lot of console Xbox or console BF5 leagues that would do the same thing. They would just join random servers and like try to backfill a server, an empty server, and do the same thing and have their match. Oh man, that was bad until you got then the community servers came like a year and almost 2 years later after launch, right before the game just finally ended support. Right. Yeah, that was way too late. So that's one of those things, like if you're going to do any kind of competitive community thing, like you need to have, some sort of server hosting on launch. Who knows what the next game is going to be, but at least 2040. See, that's the thing. 2042, you can do it. You have Portal, right? Yeah. You can host your own thing, but then you have a lack of other tools. You can't restart the round without restarting the server.
Spectator.
You can't change the map. You don't have spectator, which is huge. You can't switch teams, so actually getting teams into a map is just like herding cats.
And I competed in early 2042 as well, and let me tell you right now, like he said, there isn't a lack of will to compete. When I tell you, if anyone that was playing early Battlefield 2042 competitive, we're talking less than 2 months after the game released, every one of those players loves the Battlefield franchise. If they were putting up with the bullshit we were putting up with the amount of problems and the bugs and the horrible map design, trying to form strats around these maps, just trying to make it work just for the love of the game. Believe me when I say that.
And it's a winning, having a competitive, environment for your game is just kind of a winning strategy across the board. From a public player perspective, from your casuals, you have your top players are going to be more interested in finding scrims and playing matches and not farming a public server as often, right? So you maybe avoid them a little bit less. You're going to watch their competitive games from their perspective and go, holy crap, look what that player just did. Maybe, maybe they're not cheating, that raises the skill level consciousness, consensus of what, people think is possible and know and have an aspiration to play better. And then from like a developer POV, it's like, this is free marketing, for having, you can push this game, you can let people self-market it all they want, and it keeps your game alive, going longer, and sells copies.
I know from personal experience streaming tournaments, the first 2042 tournament that I streamed, which was held by iBuyPower, I want to say I had 1,000 viewers. On my personal channel, 1,000 viewers for a Battlefield 2042 tournament. And I'm proud to say I'm pretty much one of the only individual players that can actually pull an audience for Battlefield competitive like that. And I've always really wanted to push that to my larger audience, both on YouTube and on Twitch. I've always really enjoyed doing that. But I think you opened another can of worms, which we might talk on a little bit later. But I think in order to actually legitimize any sort of competitive play, it obviously has to be official from DICE and from Battlefield. So they have to make an official mode. And this thing might be controversial, but in order for any sort of outside attention to take it seriously, you cannot do these larger game mode competitives. You can't.
Yep.
You cannot do 8v8. You cannot do 12v12. You cannot do 32v32.
Don't agree with
you
that.
have to do 5v5. You have to. It's just one of those things where if there's any sort of attention outside, none of these orgs are going to field a team where they have to find 32 people to play or 16 people to play. It's just not going to happen.
Oh, okay. No, I like this. I like this chat here. Okay, so yes, I think that they might need to have an official competitive game mode. I don't think it needs to be the one. They could probably tinker around with a couple to see what flows best. But one thing that, to your point, is correct is they do need to be involved,
Oh
heavily involved. They
yes.
need to push the right features, and then they need to push the support, like on their front page in game. They need to be any leagues that are taking place, any matches, any streams. Those need to be front and center and get people
And
involved.
before you go a little too far, I just want to say my end goal for Battlefield competitive is this. So let's say they're involved in it. If they're involved in it, they need to take it extremely seriously and actually build it to a point where it makes sense for outside interest. If they're not taking it seriously, the tools need to be there for the community to do whatever they want. And then if they're not taking it seriously, Battlefield, the community can do their 8v8s. The community can do their 32v32s. But it's not serious. It will not be taken seriously, and it will not succeed at a larger scale, is my point. I think
the best is going to be simultaneous. It's going to be, ground up and top down. It has to be.
Yeah, yes.
But 32v32 comp modes are fun, but those are not really what we're referring to when we say competitive.
Of course, and this is always the confusion.
Yeah.
Because when I play these games and they go, "Oh, you're playing Battlefield competitive," like I didn't even know that happened. Where the vehicles, people always think, well, if it's Battlefield, it has to be big. They think Battlefield competitive has to have an element of Battlefield to make it unique, rather than just making it another 5v5, rather than just making it, I don't know, like a more sweaty version of Rush or something like that. And they don't realize these outside things that I mentioned, like if you're taking competitive seriously from a top-down view, like EA is actively involved, they want to field tournaments, they're putting up prize pools, right? They're not going to do that for these huge game modes. Because in order to get a bunch of teams interested, you have to streamline the experience and make it similar enough to other competitive experiences on the market, which means, ultimately, the player count of the competitive mode has to be low. 4v4, 5v5. And that's basically it. Those are your options there.
I don't necessarily agree with... I don't disagree, but I don't fully agree with that, and I'll say why. So, to get your casual interest in it and grow it from the ground up, it does need to be a smaller game mode, 5v5 probably. Especially if you're going to do something like a ranked mode in game, something that actually you can allow SPMM. The problem with that is it doesn't stand out on its own for Battlefield. It is, at the end of the day, just an infantry experience. And if you have a one life game mode, why wouldn't people instead go choose to watch Counter-Strike or COD? It needs to set itself apart. Now, you were 100% right that if you really wanted to do 8v8 or something, that is so much harder to sponsor and play because you actually need to pay for 8 people to fly somewhere, right? It's just it's such a pain.
The
right?
logistics of it are just impossible.
The logistics are so much more expensive. But at the same time, that I think AV8 classically is the dominant and most unique standardized Battlefield competitive environment because it's not just infantry. You allow for that sandbox experience and that dynamic gameplay and that chaos that can happen like on screen at any moment. Like you've watched like Heeb's team in BF4 play. Like the team gets full capped and then somebody shoots a Zook or something or at a attack helicopter that's been camping their main across the map, or Kalzagi hits a tank shell across the map. Like those are, you can build a casting narrative around those players and those teams in a way that you can't do in 5v5, because in 5v5 the viewer gets as bored as the caster does. Like, oh yeah, you watching, from a gameplay experience from a player's perspective, you're going crazy full adrenaline. Like you are at the top of your game. But from a viewer perspective, watching somebody get 1 kill at a time or 2 kills, or
they
double
don't
kill
understand the larger
repetitively,
importance.
but the repetitive aspect of it is what wears it down. Whereas an AV8, you have a little bit of a break, and then you can also kind of build upon the whole map and the experience. I think AV8 is the way to go competitively, but I think that needs to be from the ground up.
Yeah, and Armadon in my chat has a very good point that I 100% agree with. He says, because competitive is so different from the core pub experience in Battlefield, it will never be big. He's 100% right. Which is why I think ultimately we just need to have the community tools available for the community to make competitive, and then that will just be the existence of Battlefield competitive. You know, ideally in a perfect world, it would be EA support and there's big prize pools and oh my god, there's thousands of viewers and all this cool stuff, like a lot of other competitive scenes. But you know, I'm not delusional. I'm ready to accept like that. This is never going to happen. Can we at least have the tools to play what we would like to play, right? Because ultimately, whenever you have any game release, whether it be super casual or inherently super sweaty, you're going to have people that are going to want to compete with it. And that rings true with Battlefield ever since the inception of the franchise.
And that's been a distinguishing, a major distinction between the Call of Duty franchise and Battlefield is they have leaned into their competitive element hard, and they have built an incredibly successful brand for a competitive esports scene, whereas Battlefield didn't. And that's why you get this, you know, Battlefield's not competitive element. Well, it sure as hell can be. And it has been.
Fucking,
it's out there, and people want to do it.
People don't know how insane some of these players are. They have no clue.
And the amount of time you go building strategies and different, you know, role. AV8 is so much fun because, you know, as a team, you have to scout a tanker. Like you have to look for a person that not only is a really good in the vehicle, but knows how to play as a team, and then maybe is good on infantry. And like, so you have to swap these things around. I think you can absolutely do both. I think there's an element where if DICE were to provide the right features, they could probably start with some sort of 5v5 competitive thing that they run, and let the lower, you know, online leagues that are DICE supported or DICE sponsored run alongside it as well. And then maybe just cut down on costs and collaborate. You know, if you are going to have a live event for 5v5, then just fly out the top 2 teams for 8v8, and then, you know, so it just cuts down the cost, and you can have a grand finale that's for both leagues. That's one way of doing it. But either way, at the end of the day, it comes down to developer support and having the right features and tool sets. And that is something that we haven't had completely in a long time.
Yeah,
I'll say one more thing here, that since we haven't had it in a long time, it would not surprise me to see some element of that this time around, just because it seems like they're hiring certain people that are very community and creator based, that maybe they want to try to compete with other franchises this time around. They want to go big. Like, obviously they know that this is make or break. Maybe this time around they'll actually try to go for it, but will we see the features? That remains to be seen.
Yeah, I mean, hope for the best in this aspect. I don't really know. We'll see what happens. I never really even know what they're going to do with this sort of stuff. You know, in BF5, the game had almost nothing tool-wise at the start. Then they added it later. 2042, you know, Portal, we got it, and then there wasn't a spectator. There always seems to be one or two things that are essential missing, and it just provides extremely unique limitations that you somehow have to work around in order to just get like this unique experience that so many you know, competitive players actually do want to play in to actually work.
Spectator mode is just a kind of a bonkers one on its own, because it's like, it's not just the competitive community asking for it. This is like all of your creators who want to do screenshots and media and machinima and
oh my god,
video reviews, and like, it's everything.
One of my most popular series on my channel is Agent Enders, where we go in the fucking wild and we look at these people that go 0 and 22, and we find out what they do. You know, like, how are you going 0 and 22? How are you doing this? And we find out you just find such unique, you know, experiences because you follow these players that are just alien to so many people. It's just like people don't even realize there's a guy that'll spawn in only on a certain map, and he'll only go to a certain area, and that's all he plays. And you check his account, and sure enough, he only plays, you know, Iwo Jima Conquest, and he snipes on the hill. There are players like that. And it's fucking funny to use spectator mode and actually document that.
Yeah, it's there are some interesting people who play Battlefield. I don't think that's unique to the series, but I think that's just funny to keep an eye on them for sure.
It absolutely is. So I suppose we'll end this off by with a question. Do you think BF6 will have a server browser?
So obviously I made that one massive video last year about the server browser.
Yeah.
That one got a lot of traction. I think I always hope this is one of those instances where I'm hoping against hope here, because the trend is clearly not in that direction. It seems that has been, the server browser itself has been stripped away game after game after game, starting with BF1.
Yeah.
This insistence on quick play and matchmaking. It would be a huge surprise to see a server browser again, much to the disappointment of many people. See, it's weird because I think from a developer perspective, I think that they're just trying to go with what their competitors are doing and what the modern gaming market is doing. Of like, well, we'll just get people in the game as fast as possible. Nobody wants to be sitting on the main menu. It's kind of ironic because half the time in 2042 you're sitting on the main menu searching for a map, right?
I swear to God, 15 minutes. So I typically stream for about 2 or 3 hours. Typically about more around 2, because the game's just so hard to play even now. Just deal with. I would say in chat, if you have any predictions on this, type them. I would say out of the 2 hours I spend playing the game, 15 to 20 minutes is searching for the game, which is crazy.
Then you hit the same map 5 times in a row.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't want to play. And here's the thing is, like, even if they fixed that would still be not, that still wouldn't be enough. It would still drive me crazy. You need, at the very minimum, to have, if I'm going to quick play into a game, that lobby needs to be persistent. I just need to load into the next map in a rotation. I don't want to see the main menu up for the next 5 hours.
One of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life, Gravity. Game of 2042 ends. Full server. Kicks everyone out to the main menu to matchmake again. Why?
Yeah.
Why? What are we doing? Like, what?
It's such a regression in logic and just player satisfaction. And this doesn't even, like, ignoring, if their argument was the server browser is dated technology, fine, but the technology has a proven impact and it works. It's not like there's people that are not using it or not going to use it, and the communities are built off of it. And that's part of the reason why communities in Battlefield have just completely fractured and fallen apart over the last 3 or 4 titles, is because they don't have anything to build upon anymore.
Yeah, it's so sad.
They can't host their server anymore.
It's so sad because I remember playing, BF3, BF4, BF1, even through BF5. BF5 really is the last sort of, I saw the last few remnants of what could be called a community, where you would see people running around with their squads with clan tags, and later in the game's life cycle, you would see AOD hosting servers. But back then, in BF3 and 4, so many different clans, so many different communities, bunch of different platoons you could join, all sorts of stuff going on, and that is just absolutely gone now.
Yeah, the worst part about it is it's not just matchmaking. It's you're getting rid of a whole social element to the gameplay,
Which is huge.
Yeah, you're okay. Even if you're playing on an EA official server and you're in there for like 5 hours, and that lobby remains the same, you're still playing with the same people that you played for the last 5 hours, and then if you join that same server again the next night, there might be the same people, and then you like socially connect to them. You start to remember people. You know you let your you become more personable with them, and then you just say somebody will invite you to a Discord, and boom, you've got a community, right?
Yeah.
Like that's how you get people playing long term, and it just blows my mind that apparently is not a worthwhile gain for them anymore.
One of
I
the
don't
most
understand it.
unacceptable and nonsensical things that is not in the game. The fact that they aren't putting it in the game. Platoons. What is the... Why would it not be worth it for them to put platoons in the game?
Yeah, it's a weird one too.
Why?
Yeah.
Just do it. It adds so much community value.
Yeah.
And it's easy to do.
It just seems like a no-brainer. Yeah, one of those things of people want to be together. And it's not like you can't do unique things with it. You can track stats together or do something where, you have a competitive platoon leaderboard where, you're tracking kills against another platoon or something. You can do, there's so many things you could uniquely do with platoons nowadays that I don't know why they don't. I mean, that's the other thing. It's like one of the lines I used in that video was like, how do you even know communities exist if you can't find them? Like, if nobody's wearing clan tags,
yeah,
how do you know where to look, right? How do you know who to ask? It's such a difficult thing nowadays.
I remember communities by clan tags, like TPG, AOD, right? Like all these other clans.
Yeah, I can rattle off communities from 20 years ago. It's crazy how they stick in your head, and you're just like, yeah, I was on that server like every night for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Like I knew their admins. They were more or less really good admins, and they had a good community, so you played on their server every night. That's how the game worked. Nowadays, you matchmake, and I hit the 2042 menu, and half the time I don't even make it into a game.
It's brutal sometimes, dude.
Yeah.
It is brutal because it's just. God, I don't want to harp too much on about the 2042 matchmaking experience. Everyone here is aware of it. Of just how bad it is. But you load into a game, you play the same things 15 times in a row. 50% of the time, the server is filled with AI, completely empty. You have to leave a game because your team is getting rolled on defense, and it's just like, okay, why am I even in the server? Let me try to find a better game that's more balanced. You get put in another AI lobby, and by that, like, what, 5-10 minutes of your time is gone, and it's like, dude, I could be playing Oblivion Remastered, just have way more fun.
That's the other thing, is like, a year or two down the road when nobody's playing 2042, how are you expected to find a game? Like, if you can't you're just going to be stuck at one of those player loading screens and waiting for players that looking for I think the weirdest thing is I actually think Portal will become the only way people find games in 2042 down the road, because you'll never know with matchmaking, or the regions will be dead. So
I'm very bitter about 2042. I hope no one ever plays that game. I basically hope it just dies forever. I'm sorry. Hey, I've said it for a while on my stream. When BF6 comes out, 2042, we don't talk about that. Ever. We're done talking about it. I've made 600 videos on 2042. We don't play it. We don't talk about it. We delete it off our systems. Done.
It's gonna be the battlefield Chernobyl. We're gonna bury it under concrete and not talk about it again.
Yes.
An unavoidable catastrophe, or unavoidable. I guess
oh, it was majorly avoidable.
Yeah, just definitely an unavoidable catastrophe. But yeah, it was. And it's not like the game hasn't improved over the course of the past 3 years. I'm stunned that that it's still getting support.
Oh yeah, no, that last update I was like, what? Hold on, what?
That blows my mind. The weird part is I have personally felt, I don't know if you can confirm this, how do you feel, that the game was in a really good state like late spring last year, and I feel like subsequent updates over the past year actually have felt like it made it worse and reintroduced a bunch of bugs that have made the experience, like the game has
don't even get me started,
felt like a downgrade over the last year.
So I haven't personally noticed I haven't personally noticed the game getting worse over the past year. I'm just going to be honest with you. The one thing I have noticed, and that you touched on bugs being reintroduced, there was that big sort of area about, I don't know, maybe about a month or 2 months or however long. No, maybe longer than that. Maybe about 9 months or a year where I was talking about the recoil bug in Battlefield 2042. Varanox first sort of discovered it and found a way to really show it crystal clear. Then I made a bunch of videos detailing it. And in a patch before Season 7, they fixed it. Wasn't 100% fixed, but it was at least partially fixed, okay? Season 7 comes along, they rebug it, and now it's rebugged forever.
Yeah, there's bugs where I'm dying just bailing out of vehicles. When you get revived, the FOV is zoomed in. You can't zoom it out unless you rezoom and stuff.
Yeah.
Like those are all locked in there. It's just like, guys, I feel like there's some stability issues now more than there was a year ago. Like it was in an okay state last year. You know, in the grand scheme of things, I think that 2042 will be looked at as an outlier. Like it had such a weird circumstance, both as far as like the timing of everything that happened in the world, and then like all of the management decisions at DICE at the time, and the people who were in charge. It's such a weird outlier. I can't imagine anything being that in that state ever again. And I really hope that lessons have been learned from that development.
So for a long time, BF6 is guaranteed to be better than 2042. It's just a question of how much better. Because the how much better is the key part. You can have a game that's better than 2042. It's not necessarily that hard to do. It would still be a horrible game. Like BF5. BF5, I still consider that game to be pretty bad, all things considered. There's a lot of things wrong with that game. I lived that game. And 2042. It needs to be significantly better at launch than both BF5 and 2042. And I think they can do it. But I don't know. We'll just have to see. BF6 is going to be very interesting. They're on, in my opinion, the right direction, right? They got all this stuff going on.
I am very optimistic about the game. I mean, you know, everything from the labs testing, they've got the right people in charge. They've got a team that really has been, you know, been around for a long time. I think that, and they've got apparently 4 studios working on it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of optimism for it and a lot of hopes behind it. So hopefully everything works out. My biggest fear is that it gets released too early. I have a feeling they were trying to play chicken with the GTA 6 launch, and they lost.
Yeah.
I have a feeling they're gonna be like, oh yeah, they'll totally release GTA 6 in the fall, and we can have the spring launch. And that didn't work out that way. I just hope they don't launch it early.
I think EA CEO Andrew Wilson didn't stutter in that one earnings call when he said, we're leaving the window open to delay the game. The CEO of EA doesn't just say that. I think that is heavily insinuating we're going to do it. So I would be surprised at this point, given the fact we haven't even seen the reveal trailer yet. I'd be surprised to see the game released this year.
You know, even if it releases in the spring, I'm all for it. As long as they're dripping content, you know, once they announce, then I'm completely fine with it.
Yeah.
Have an open beta, have closed betas, you know, open labs to everyone. Just do something to satiate people's expectations and that desire, but also make sure that you're trending upward toward final release. Because you cannot have another BF5 or 4 or 2042 situation
BF3.
at launch. Yeah. Or 3, yeah. Yeah.
So it's interesting, launch-wise, if you look at it, BF3, pretty bad. BF4, notoriously horrible. Took about, I don't even know, maybe about a year and a half for that game to be fixed. BF1,
phenomenal.
Good. Probably the best Battlefield launch in recent memory.
Yeah, that one in Hardline had really good launches. Yeah.
BF5, again, famously bad. 2042,
Just when I
generationally bad, will be remembered for centuries as like one of the things that just makes the least sense ever. No words can even be said about it.
Yeah, it's again. I think there's a lot riding on it. I think they know expectations are high. It would not surprise me to see a spring launch, but if they do a fall launch, it just better be ready, because people are gonna the first impressions matter.
Oh my
so
God!
much.
Thank you for saying this.
That is the key thing here. Yeah,
I've been saying this for years. First impressions are more than ever right now with this fucking age of TikTok and YouTube Shorts and short attention spans. First impressions are literally the most important thing possible. Like, I can't even express how important they are. When people see how terrible 2042 was at launch, that's it. That's it. And a lot of people's eyes that are maybe more involved in the community, they're like, oh, they'll put the, well, give it some time, they'll pull the game back. No. You don't understand. In the eyes of the larger community, in the eyes of the potential players that this game could have had, it is over with. Done. From day fucking one. And that is why this Battlefield launch is so scary, given the history of launches with Battlefield in general. That's what they're trying to prevent with Battlefield Labs.
And of course, there's going to be something wrong with it. I mean, it's going to be on a launch date. There will be bugs, but it cannot be like critically.
No, it cannot be visually very obviously broken. With 2042, I would aim at a tank, I would aim at a helicopter, and it is lagging across the sky. And people could link that clip if they want to find it. It is, even to a casual player that has no idea about anything about Battlefield, 2042 at launch, blatantly obviously broken. They cannot afford it.
Honestly, I think the best situation you could hope for is that on day one, people are complaining about gun balance or the balance of a feature instead of anything else.
This gun's overpowered. Okay.
Yeah, that's a huge win.
Okay, who fucking cares?
Talking gun balance, right? Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Crashing? Ooh, okay.
Nerf this attachment.
Balance, right? Yeah.
Oh no.
That's your best. That's your win-win situation.
But I want to end this thing with one important point though. Let's say BF6 releases and it's pretty good, and the game is so like immediately acceptable to the community. People aren't really complaining about catastrophic bugs or game breaking anything, right? Laggy this performance is like 60 FPS. People are complaining about, like you said, weapon balance, more nuanced things. So this weapon's overpowered, that attachment's overpowered. We can't let the past two games in BF5 and 2042 lower the standards of what is acceptable, though. And that is what I've been so frustrated with the Battlefield community.
Pongu.
Because BF6 might release, and it might be better than 2042, but maybe it isn't better than BF5. But from the Battlefield community's perspective, the aesthetic is better. So we're saved. But in general, the game's not quality, right? There's something wrong with it.
Aesthetics are a band-aid.
Yes, it is. BF1 players. I'm looking at you, BF1 players.
That's a great example. Yeah. Especially with its map design. I think that's one thing we didn't touch on, but there is a huge argument to be made that people like map designs purely based on their aesthetics rather than their structure or their map detail
or the way they play.
Or the playout. Yeah, the gameplay, for sure.
All right.
There are some horrendously bad maps that look pretty in BF1.
Galicia's pretty.
Verdun Heights is the one that always gets me. Like that map is horrendous.
That map is not good.
But it's so popular, yeah. Anyway.
All right, if you want to leave us off with a closing remark and we'll wrap this up.
You can follow my YouTube channel at youtube.com/gravitybftv. I've been moving lately, so I haven't had many videos. I actually meant to have a giant BF2 review out for its 20th anniversary. I missed that window. But hopefully 2 map videos out in July. So that's it.
Yeah, be sure to check out Gravity's channels. They'll be linked in the description. If you want to see more of these podcasts, let me know who I should have on next. I've seen a lot of your suggestions, and perhaps some people you've suggested are coming on. I can't confirm or deny this at this moment in time. If you enjoy the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and check out Gravity's stuff. And I'll see you guys in the next one. And there it is. Oh, he left. He actually left. He left. Whatever. That's based. He said, okay, I'm fucking out of here. Okay, chat. The Gravity's great. Very smart. Big brain. Very, very large brain. Good. Good shit. The Battlefield competitive stuff was interesting. I always think it'll be relegated to a community niche thing, and that's about it. I don't think it'll ever be a large official thing, unfortunately. That's about it. All right, thank you, Gravity, for coming on. That's about it. All right, thank you, Gravity. This will be up probably tomorrow on the YouTube, and then next week I'm gonna try to get Flakfire. I'll see you guys later.